Welcome to Death Ranks, a place where deaths in horror movies get to show off and also get ranked. Today I'll be ranking the deaths in Saw 3 from 2006.
Saw 3.
Oh, and by the way, if you want to see every death ranked in both the first Saw movie and the second Saw movie, I'll go ahead and link that for you here in the video, and also down below in the description as well if you want to go and check that out after this video. But enough wasting time, we've got some deaths to get to, so let's get to it. And the movie starts back again with Detective Eric Matthews, who you should recognize from Saw 2, who's trapped in the same room from the original. And this part is downright nasty. Here we get the pleasure of watching Eric snap his own ankle to get out of his shackle. I mean, still probably better than the route that Dr. Gordon went. After that fun little moment and the movie title, we get closer and closer to our first death of the movie. Cary's back and she's examining a crime scene that was found after someone heard an explosion. This victim, Troy, was held in place by chains in this room. And yes, you guessed it, Jigsaw is back, baby, and must be a big Hellraiser fan.
Hello, Troy.
Troy has apparently had all the opportunities in the world, but still spent most of his life in prison. So Jigsaw wants him to break out of those chains for good. All he has to do is break free from these chains, rip apart massive pieces from his body, and then just go ahead and waltz on over there and turn off the bomb. No big deal, right? He gets close, but doesn't get out in time. And I don't blame the guy. The Achilles, the mouth, damn. And Troy goes down as death number 1 in Saw 3 by explosion 9 minutes into the movie. All right, let's fast forward to number 2. And who might it be? Sorry, Detective Cary, you're up next. Detective Cary gets kidnapped in her home, then wakes up in a gnarly Jigsaw trap. She does have a way out though, because the key is right next to her. Problem is, it's inside of this acid and is dissolving pretty quickly. She eventually does get it out and unlocks herself. So why is she going on the rankings today? Well, because things go down a little differently in Saw 3, all because Amanda can't play by the rules. So despite unlocking herself, her torso gets ripped in half by the trap. To get to death number 3, we need to fast forward 28 minutes ahead. Here, Jeff's deciding whether or not to let the woman out who fled the scene of his son's death. He eventually decides to let her out, but doesn't get her key in time before Danica here freezes to death. Anyone else thinking about that scene from Dumb and Dumber here? Oh, and remember when I didn't count Adam on the rankings in the first movie? Well, here's why. Amanda, shortly after the ending to the first movie, decided to come in here and take Adam out of his misery. So she goes ahead and suffocates him, which not only goes against Jigsaw's entire plan, but also kind of reminds me of Claire's death from Black Christmas 1974, which if you haven't seen that movie, go check it out. And yes, this does take away from the rankings in the first movie, but pads our stats in this one. So thanks, Amanda, I guess? Next up is Judge Halden, who prior to getting killed probably wanted to die as he was drowning in ground up rotting pig flesh. But unlucky for him, ends up getting accidentally or not so accidentally shot in the face when Jeff pulls the key to unlock Timothy's trap. So Judgment Day has came for Judge Halden when he gets shot right into death number 5. And the next one comes only moments later in Jigsaw's personal favorite trap called the Rack, which is goddamn brutal. It slowly twists his arms and his legs before eventually twisting his head. And despite Jeff grabbing that key, he doesn't unlock it in time, and Timothy here gets readjusted in a way only Jigsaw could pull off. Who I don't think is a licensed chiropractor. Can we get somebody to check on that? For the next one, we need to get to 1 hour and 38 minutes into the movie, and probably the second most surprising death of the movie, which turns out Amanda was in her own game as well during this entire movie. And she failed, which ends up getting her shot in the neck by Jeff as he enters the room to save his wife, Lynn. And the reason I say Amanda's was the second most surprising death was because Johnny Boy's up next. Jeff tells John he forgives him for these messed up games, but still goes ahead and slits his throat with a saw. Damn, that's kind of ironic. But yes, John Kramer Jigsaw gets killed in Saw 3. Seconds before Amanda was shot, she shot Dr. Lynn in the gut. But you know what happens if John flatlines. Yep, Lynn's shotgun collar gets activated and we get to see the gnarly aftermath of her death, which is the last one in the movie. And the movie officially ends with Jeff listening to another Jigsaw tape telling him that his final game will be to try and save his last remaining family member, his daughter, whose time is running out, ending the movie very open-ended for the next sequel. So those are the deaths in Saw 3, and now it's time to rank every single one. In last place at number 9 is Adam's death. For being such a big part of creating this franchise to begin with, I really wish actor Leigh Whannell would have been able to go out in a cooler way. Number 8's gonna be Judge Hallen, who is shot in the face. It's just fine. I mean, maybe a little shocking in the moment, but you know, there's really nothing that special here. Coming in at number 7 is Danica's death. I mean, it's number 7 on a rankings list. It's obviously not great, but it's okay, I guess. I don't really have much else to say about this one. Coming in at number 6 is Amanda's death. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty surprising death, but she really just got shot in the neck. I wish she would have gone out in a more unique way. I think hers was kind of a missed opportunity for the movie because it turned out that she was probably even more evil than Jigsaw. So it would have been kind of cool to see her somehow get a taste of her own medicine. At number 5 is Lynn's death, really just because of how brutal it was seeing what happened to her. Coming in at number 4 is John Kramer's death to the saw. I'm really just putting this here because it's the most surprising death in the movie. It's Jigsaw. He's obviously a huge part of this franchise, so seeing him die, you're kind of like, whoa. I wasn't really expecting that. At number 3 is Detective Cary. First, she melts the skin off her hand, then probably feels kind of excited that she's probably gonna get out of this one, then nope, game over. But just how she lifts her arms up on the chains, then gets her ribs pulled away from her, just visually, it's a brutal death. And in the number 2 spot is Troy's death to the explosion. Now, explosions aren't really anything special, but it's all the stuff leading up to it. I mean, the guy's gotta rip out both Achilles' tendons, part of his jaw, and all that other stuff just to get out. It's a wild death. And coming in at number 1 as my favorite death in Saw 3 is Timothy's death in the rack. To me, this death just has a medieval era feel to it. It also goes on for a long time. Tim's got to stand there and feel his legs and his arms snap before eventually auditioning for the next exorcism movie. It's a crazy trap, and I like it. But that's not it. The award for bonehead death of the movie goes to Amanda because she really just went full nut job in this movie and didn't really have to die. And there you go, that is every death ranked in Saw 3. And to me, guys, this has the best deaths up to this point in the franchise and the best Jigsaw traps up to this point. And honestly, there was a few times in this movie where I had to pause it and just kind of like take a breath for a moment because I was just like, damn, this is brutal. I'm getting old, guys. I don't know if I can handle this. But anyways, again, if you want to see every death ranked in Saw 1 and Saw 2, I have both of those videos up on my channel if you want to go and check those out. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. But enough of all that, I'm Matt McFarland, and you just finished watching Death Ranks.